Severe weather can destroy a home in seconds. There's no time to think, only time to act. Have a kit so you're ready for any emergency. Develop a plan for what you and your family will do before disaster strikes, and stay informed during severe weather any way you can. It can be the difference between losing your possessions and losing your life. Just ask the owners of this house. Visit ready.gov for ways to prepare your family for emergencies.
Welcome to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. My special guest today, Lancaster grad, OSU grad, and current football member of the New York Giants, Jim Cordle. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, nice to be here.
Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, it's great.
We appreciate it. You've been all over today. You were in Cleveland earlier, and you've been all over the place.
Yeah, back in Lancaster, and I have an apartment in Columbus, apartment in New Jersey. With the way things work in the NFL, you're always on the move, on the go. It's great to be around and go around all over Ohio. In Youngstown, and I'll be out in St. Henry in a couple weeks. It's just doing different events and being involved in a lot of different communities is pretty neat.
Did you ever think when you were growing up that this is how your life would turn out?
Well, no. I mean, I was my mom and dad lived over in Circleville, and they were trying to get pregnant when they got married. Teachers over here, and they started working with Dr. Deddy over here, and finally, after a couple of years, they got pregnant, and all of a sudden, 9 months later, my mom's got this 10-pound, 6-ounce baby in her that is not going to come out the traditional way. They're going to have to cut her open, not to get too graphic, but I was born over here. We lived back in Circleville for a couple of years, and then moved back over here when I was in first grade. And so you grow up and you're just learning the world as a kid. You think Lancaster is as big as it gets, and then you grow up and start playing high school ball. And I can remember playing high school ball and going to camps, going to OU camp when I was a sophomore. And I getting a little bit of interest from coaches and being like, oh, okay, I'm going to go play for the Ohio Bobcats, and then my career progressed, through high school, and ended up getting offered by Ohio State. But it was a great community to grow up in, and I'm a proud Lancaster resident, former resident.
Was it a bigger transition going from high school to college, or from college to pro?
So people ask me that question a lot. It's when I tell them, I say, okay, when you go from high school to college, both the speed and the size and the complexity are just leaps and bounds, and it's nice to have that red shirt system built in. So I redshirted, but when you go from the NFL, it's essentially when you're playing at Ohio State and you're playing against LSU and Glenn Dorsey in the national championship game, or the great opponents throughout the season. Those guys are the guys that end up in the NFL, and so the speed doesn't necessarily increase, certainly not as much as it did from high school to college. It does a little bit, but then the strength of the guys, they're 28 years old at the peak of their athletic performance at the most that they'll ever be as far as strength and speed, and but the complexity is not that, a little bit. It depends on the system, where you go, where you played. We had a pro-style offense at Ohio State, essentially, and but it's the biggest thing is everybody's good. Everybody's really good. So when you're in the NFL, you can't take a play off and practice games, whatever it is. I mean, and whoever you're going against, they're really good, and you have to be at your best all the time.
When you walked in the Giants football locker room for the first time, what did you think?
Just in awe. It's the Giants facility is right there by the stadium, and brand new facility. And you walk out to the practice field. 3 grass, 1 turf, and indoor. But you walk out and you see the stadium, and then you can see the skyline of the city, and it's unbelievable. And then there's Eli Manning, there's Hakeem Nicks, all the, OSU Manura, all the guys that you've watched on TV, Justin Tuck, had a big Super Bowl. I can remember watching the Giants Super Bowl when the Patriots went 18-1, and then it's like, wow, I'm actually in uniform with these guys. So it's really neat.
Was it a big adjustment going from the Midwest to actually it's in New Jersey?
Yeah, no, a lot of people don't know that everything's in Jersey, even for the Jets. So the stadium, it's MetLife Stadium now. It was a Giants Stadium. They built a new $1.2 billion stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, which is only about 8 miles from Manhattan. But if you drive through Lincoln, or try to drive through the Lincoln Tunnel, it could take you 2 hours to get there. And then the Giants facility is right there, and the Jets are about half an hour south. And it's really neat to be right there and to be. I mean, the Giants. Everybody talks about that I've been around. It's the only team I've been. Best organization in football.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that something you want to do down the road? Is get into administration?
Well, I love the game. Obviously, I have a passion for it. That's drove me to pursue my professional career. Coming off of an injury-riddled senior season at Ohio State and going undrafted, but it was. It's something I love, obviously, and to be involved in the game is what I want to do because it does give me an opportunity to, make a difference, in a community, or because everybody loves the game. Well, but there's so much fan enthusiasm, and kids just draw to you that you can have a positive impact in the game. I look at what Coach Tressel did at Ohio State, and so I think I definitely want to get into coaching because you can have an impact on guys coming through. But then also, if you see what Jim Tressel did with the program he had there, as far as the impact in the community, it's unbelievable, and that's something I want to pursue.
I know in today's world, a lot of people don't want to be role models, and you're going to be one. Sometimes people don't want to, but you've embraced that. You have a couple of foundations we're going to talk about later on, but you like that.
Yeah, when you get, the way I looked at it was, God blessed me with the ability to play the game that I love, and so the way I show gratitude is by giving back, or at Ohio State we said pay forward, the Woody Hayes old saying, and it's really neat that I can do that. And so a lot of guys, like you said, don't want to be role models, but you almost have to be. If you're not, you're going to be exposed for it, and so some guys struggle with that, but like you said, I do embrace it, and just try and be a positive impact in a kid's life. I mean, I come back to Lancaster, and some of these kids look at me as a hero, and that's something really cool. But I do want to just try and be a positive influence.
I know you do a lot of work with youth and a couple of organizations. Cordle Cares Foundation. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'll give you the background on that. At Ohio State, as I said, Coach Tressel's program. So he had a block O of life and priorities. So you're looking at the block O, right? Mm-hmm. At the top, faith was number one. So he would tell guys, we would meet with them one-on-one, go over a goal sheet and everything, and he would say, just realize that we're spiritual beings, and not, he wouldn't press his faith on anyone, but he would just, find your spirituality, and then on the other side, on one side is family, on the other side is academics, and then at the bottom was football. And so it was pretty neat that he did that, and community service was up there with academics. So as far as community service, we had so many hours of opportunity that we could do. We would read to schools or go into grade schools on Fridays in the spring every Friday. the hospital visits every Friday in the fall, and then there were also events that we would go to, Special Olympics or other big events that we would go and volunteer and represent the Ohio State University, the football team, and the university. And but going into my senior year, I had, it just kind of been, well, I enjoyed doing it, but you're kind of passive. They ask you, hey, who wants to volunteer for this? So yeah, you volunteer and you go and you read, or you play with kids at a playground, or whatever it is. But I wanted to do something, a little bit more, like take on a role myself. So I talked to my mom about it, and I got an idea from Big Brothers Big Sisters. They do the Bowl for Kids' Sake.
Sure.
They invited me down, and I saw how cool it was to do a bowling fundraiser, and I thought this is a really cool idea. So I'm going to kind of snatch the idea and use it. So I thought, well, who do I want to benefit? And my parents were both special ed teachers, so I would be, there's the when you go into the high school, they had the MH classes,
right.
and my mom worked with they're classified.
Right.
There's all kind of different classifications, but so I was involved with that population of the school a lot, just being around, and as a football player in high school, they even looked up to me. So I said, what, let's do something for Special Olympics in Fairfield County. So we worked with John Bosser at Fairfield County DD, and it really got rolling when Mrs. Laver jumped on board.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
huh?
exactly. She's the fundraiser queen, I call her. But I said, let's do this, and let's do a bowling fundraiser. And so we go into this. We set a goal of $10,000, and we were like, that was kind of lofty. My mom's kind of like, well, let's be, what's going to happen. But we just went to work. I came down on days or Friday afternoons in the summer, or even late in the spring there, and we would go around. We drove around and asked for sponsors, and people were really on board right away. And then the guys were on board, and when I showed Coach Tressel a sign-up sheet. And he's like, wow, you got all those guys signed up? I was like, all right, I better get you a bus. So he ended up getting a bus for the guys to come down. And the night of the event was a surreal moment for me because, we put in all this work. And then there we are at Tiki Bowling Lanes. I go out, to talk and to welcome everybody. And there's 42 lanes sponsored,
Wow.
And there's 4 people from the sponsor bowling, there's a Special Olympian participant, and then there's a Buckeye in the lane. And it was just to see all that, and the Thunder Alley lights come on.
Absolutely.
And I was like, wow, we really did this. And we raised $18,000 that night.
Wow.
And all the money went to, we had a couple costs, but Greg Russell over at Tiki gave us a big discount.
Great individual.
Yeah,
good guy.
absolutely, great guy. And so we ended up writing a check to Special Olympics for $17,000.
Yeah.
100, an odd number,
right.
but
well, that's super.
it was unbelievable, and so I could kind of tie all those things together. Success on the field. I was 4-time academic All Big Ten. And then to step up and do that with the community service aspect, I just felt like, as a 5-time Big Ten champ, just that I'm very happy that with how things turned out at Ohio State, and it was a lot of work, but it was all well worth it for sure.
And you've got it's Bowling with the Buckeyes too is coming up June 30th.
Yes, so. Now we decided, the people that I worked with, that hey, let's start a foundation. Let's take it to the next level. And we'll obviously we're based on the Cordle Cares Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, is based on our success with Bowling with Buckeyes 1. Now Bowling with Buckeyes 2 is scheduled for June 30th of this year, and we've got people that are jumping at the sponsor already, and the guys are excited to come back down. So it's gonna be a really special event, and then. So, Greg Russell, John Bosser, Cindy Laver, my mom, Sue Mendel are on the board. Carrie Sheets is our CPA. We've really got it organized and going. Martha Campbell, who is a longtime nonprofit organizer, is the president, and so it's really neat. We're really looking forward to Bowling with Buckeyes, and then a youth camp in July. That we decided that we said. We're based on Bowling with Buckeyes. We're going to stick to that. Special Olympics is where that's going to stay with. We want to take it to the next level. Let's expand. We said, okay, let's do a youth camp. Now, I had Coach Brian Sampson at Lancaster, who, when I graduated from Ohio State, I found out that he had cancer and battled it. I remember he called me. Well, maybe no. My senior year, he was battling it. He called me after I graduated, said that he was cancer-free, and then come to find out later that fall, I get an email from John Bosser saying that Brian's in bad shape, and he wanted to handle it kind of privately, but John said maybe you should go visit him because he was actually at New York University with experimental treatment.
Right.
And so after practice one day, my first year, drove into the city and got to see him for a second, and he ended up succumbing to the cancer, and it was tough, and so we decided to try and remember him. Let's do a youth camp in his name. And any money that we raise from sponsors, from any grants we get, let's give it to the James Cancer Research Unit on behalf of Coach Sampson. And so we're looking forward to that. That'll be fun for the kids in Fairfield County.
And that's 2nd through 6th graders?
Yes, 2nd through 6th grade. Lancaster is not going to have a youth football camp this year. They're gonna help us run ours and coach ours, and we'll have some former players. Hopefully some current players can make it down for a little bit. They have class and workouts, and it'll be during the week, probably the second week of July. We'll finalize that date soon, and then we're already looking forward to next year. We're gonna have next April. We're gonna have a scholarship banquet. Fairfield County students graduating that based on academics, but athletics / extracurricular. Hey, let's say you have a job, that's just as great. But the big emphasis of the award, the scholarship, is going to be community service. So it's neat that we can get rolling with that and have those events to look forward to.
There's a lot to do.
It is a lot, and luckily there's 8 people on the board. There's 3 advisors, so luckily I have a lot of help. But no, it's fun. I mean, right now, last off season we didn't make the playoffs. Ended up being locked out, so I had a lot of time. And now we go to the Super Bowl. I had an ankle scoped the next week. Went on the Buckeye cruise, and now we start April 16th. So we're trying to get as much done now, and then to set it up for when I come back at the end of June to do Bowling with Buckeyes, do the camp in July. But no, it's fun. I'm here. I'm working out, doing some rehab at OSU Sports Med. But then I'm gonna spend time. I don't want to waste time. Let's do something productive.
Do something productive. It's advice that you'd have for young kids coming up that they're playing. I want to play for the Buckeyes. I want to go on a pro. Just some advice that you would give.
Well, yeah, I mean, dream obviously, and want that, pursue that, have that as your goal, and work at it. But the most important thing for kids is school, and to realize that, because you're not going to be able to get into Ohio State. You're not going to be able to you won't get a scholarship. I mean, you see it all the time. Most talented guys, just because of academics. And if and for a lot of them, if they just show up and go to class, pay attention, there's so many distractions with, I even see, if we're going to have a youth camp, 2nd to 6th grade, I mean, how many of those kids have cell phones? When I graduated, when I graduated high school, I didn't have a cell phone.
Right.
And I look at it now, it's like, so put away your phone in class and pay attention, do your homework, do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. If you prioritize school, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do my work, and then you'll have plenty of time to have fun. But it's it's got to be tough for kids nowadays. I mean, I'm on Twitter all the time just because it's you keep up with the things, and it's like I can't imagine being in high school having a cell phone and like text and be on Twitter. I had a 4.0 my junior year. I don't know if I would have had that, but just and then realize that, and then you don't have to focus on one sport when you're young. If you get to high school, what I did, I played 3 sports my freshman year, sophomore year, and then decided to cut out track because I wasn't as good as the other 2, wrestling and football. Mm-hmm. And then my senior year, focused solely on football. I ended up graduating early, but you'll find yourself as you go, and but yeah, just realize that school is going to come first.
What's Jim Cordle like to do in his spare time when he's not doing anything else? I know you mentioned, what was it, wrestling you went to?
Yeah, so I went to the Monday Night Raw last night in Cleveland, which was a pretty epic Raw. It had all the guys that when I was watching.
You're going to say old guys, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. When I was in middle school, I mean, The Rock and Triple H and Undertaker. It's fun. It's entertainment. It's kind of a soap opera. But I went with my buddy, and then this weather is like 60 degrees out right now. So hopefully the water warms up. I love to get out and fish.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and well, we don't have too much time in the off season, but
was that something you had to adjust to when you went to the pros? That this is a job now.
Yeah, no, it is. It's I think about like how did we accomplish, or how do you get so much done at Ohio State? Because I wake up about 7. I live right. I live 5 minutes from the stadium. Get in at 7:30. Get a breakfast plate in the cafeteria and a to-go box. Go into the O-line room, where the older guys will run meetings. 8 o'clock we start, and we're on Coughlin time, which is
Coughlin time.
Yeah,
who is the coach of the Giants?
Coach Coughlin is the coach of the Giants. The clocks in the building are 5 minutes fast, and then you have to be 5 minutes early to the meeting. So essentially, you're 10 minutes fast. And but. So we'll go from 7:30 till 4:30, with meetings and meetings.
Have you ever been fined for missing a meeting or being late?
No. The fines are pretty lofty, and they're not staggered, based on income. So for some of the guys, sure they can, but I definitely didn't want to miss that, but. More importantly, it was if you're late and you're not a star player. I mean, they could cut you. When you go in the summer and there's 80 guys there, and you see any day. I mean, I went in as an undrafted free agent with Jake Ballard, Victor Cruz, guys like that in my undrafted class. But there were 24 of us. And maybe 9 of us end up, sticking with the Giants. But so you go in, and every day you walk into the building, the rookies would all be in a hotel. They'd bus us in. So you're walking in, and you're nervous that somebody's going to grab you.
Yeah.
And you see it happen. You walk in, and you see the guy. The guys that the Grim Reapers, want to call them.
Yeah.
and they're standing there, and there's they're going to grab one of you. It's an awful feeling, and but that motivates you. I like that. I liked it. The pressure of every day I've got to show up and perform at the best of my ability, and if not, I'm not gonna be around. So you've got to be able to take that and use it as positive influence, as positive, motivation. Because if you let that pressure get to you,
right.
it can get you. And that's how it is in life. There's pressures, and but just focus on them. Attack them, and fortunately, I was able to stick around with the Giants.
Was there anybody in the Giants that you kind of helped you out and that you?
Yeah, so we've got. I look at the Giants, and we talked a little bit about the organization, longtime family organization. They treat the players well, and I look at the Giants as very similar to a college team as you get. So we'd be at Ohio State, and guys would come back and say, "Oh, they missed their days at Ohio State. It's a job. It's it's cutthroat. It's not as fun. You get nobody's really close." But when I went into the Giants, I saw closeness. I saw teamwork. And it starts with management, ownership, down to Coach Coughlin, who was a college coach, who can get these guys who are millionaires that have families that are 28 years old, and to get them to follow in line, to buy in, and then Eli Manning, who's a great leader, obviously an elite quarterback. We solved that mystery this year.
Yeah.
But and then for me, I went into the O-line room. Great guys, just said hey, they helped us all. The young guys with the O-line. Taught us everything they knew, helped us out in any way they could. So I think that has spoken a reason why the Giants have been successful is that teamwork and a willingness to help each other and not to be selfish. So I really fell into a great situation there. I'll tell you that.
We've just got a few minutes left. Eli's brother, Peyton, is looking for a job. Where do you think he'll end up?
If I were him, I'll just look at it that way. I want to go where I'm going to win a championship because my brother has one more Super Bowl ring than I do right now. So if I go to the Dolphins, I'm going to have to face the Patriots twice, Rex Ryan's defense, but if I go to, let's say, Denver, who had success with Tebow. They're a good team. San Francisco, who was our toughest challenger in the playoffs, with a great defense, threats at the receiving positions, or Arizona would be a nice spot too. So, if I were him, I would go to San Francisco because I think they're the best team and give them the best chance to win another ring.
Well, Jim, we've appreciated you coming in today. I know your schedule is just hectic, and stopping by and helping everybody out here today. And we wish you the best of luck in life and what you're doing. And again, we just appreciate all the work that you've done here in Fairfield County and all the impact that you've had with students and youth. We do appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thanks big time for coming in. Appreciate it.
I'm not that big time.
Thanks for tuning in on this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. And remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.
Vince, they're really cracking down on safety belts these days.
What's up, officer?
I'm giving you a ticket for committing an A-level.
Safety belt violation.
Compliments of Barney Fife.
We never wear safety belts. We're dummies.
Weisenheimers.
He gave us a ticket.
Man's gotta do what he's gotta do.